Hey guys, I got a little bit of a video for you today that's different than what I normally do. It's going to come across at times a little bit slow because as I filmed it, I did a lot of thinking at the same time. So I'm going to be speaking to you from the heart, and you'll get to know me and my thought process a little bit better. But it's going to be a little slow. Please bear with it if the content is something that you are interested in. And give me your feedback. I really want to know what you, as a private and singular individual, feels on this very complex subject that we're dealing with as a society. So without any further ado, let's talk about something serious. You know, today's a tough day. It's a tough day because I'm about to change a tradition in our family that goes back generations. A lot of it has to do not only with the history of what's been occurring here in the United States, but also what's happening right now in the United States. And in our foreign involvement, especially what's going on in Afghanistan at this moment. Let's talk about this. So, a little bit of background. My family, for generations, have served in the military, often because of a sense of owing the nation for our membership, for being here, paying the price to be a citizen. And it has often been to our own detriment. So let's look historically. We'll start with my father, who was born in 1929. He went into the military at a very young age and served in the Army Air Corps before there was an Air Force. My father did all the right things, moved up in rank, went to school, got his commission as an officer. His career field was dentistry, and he got to the level of running a dental facility on an army base, and experienced the wrath of the military that can happen when one uses common sense rather than following the rule book. In this particular case, he had a crack that formed in the lead shielding in the x-ray area, and he ordered new shielding, which was delayed, and months went by, and it was preventing much needed and necessary dental work from occurring to the military members that were assigned there. So he made the decision to do the x-rays with the cracked shielding, but to do it himself at his own sacrifice, rather than allow anybody that was underneath him to perform the x-rays. The end result is that the shielding was continually delayed, and my father ended up with a case of radiation poisoning, where at one point they thought that he would be sterile for the rest of his life. This resulted in him being brought up on charges for destruction of government property, which was himself, and losing his commission and being allowed to leave the military. He still had the belief that we as a family should do our part, and instilled that in his children. My eldest brother then went into the military when he became of age, and he was in for a few years when he got a station assignment in Greece. Up to that point, he had a fairly productive career. He was climbing in rank and in recognition at a good rate. When he was stationed in Greece, he met and acquired a liking for a young lady, and they started a relationship. And it came out shortly after they began their relationship that she was the wife of the base commander that he was unaware of. Even though he immediately broke off the relationship, the base commander didn't take too kindly to it, and it resulted in him being harassed, detained, and being basically forced out of the military. A general discharge, but without honors. Then it came to me, and I went in right out of high school. Again, I chose the Air Force because they had the program, the career, the field that I was looking for, which was computer software engineering, basically programming. And the story of me going into the Air Force is another story to be told another time, but it was quite an adventure. Let's just say that I exceeded what their expectations of me were, and I got into the career field I wanted, which was programming for highly secure systems. I worked for the Air Intelligence Agency, and I wrote software so that spy planes and satellites could talk, and it was a very hard position to get into, but I made it. At one point, I was rated as the number 5 programmer in the entire military for my skill set. There was a special assessment that was done on a yearly basis, and I achieved that. I made it to E5 in 5 years. Did very, very good. Up until I met a individual who was my commander, who felt that he needed to inform me that he had looked at my records and found that I was a member of a particular religion when I enlisted, that he was also a member of, and he did not feel that I was living up to the standards of that religion, which resulted then in him deciding that he needed to take steps to show me the correct way in which to function within that religion. Not the military, but the particular religion. The steps he took cost me some stripes, and when I decided to pursue that through the military legal system, I was given the option, which I took, of getting a early but still honorable discharge and going on about my way. So I did that. that particular time in my life, there was a lot going on. I was in the middle of a divorce, and I needed to just de-stress. But I got my honorable discharge and went on to begin my civilian life. So that's the background. When I got out, I still felt, as my father did, that we, as the Shipley family, needed to ensure that we supported the military, and when possible, we served at least one term in the military to pay for our citizenship, as it were. And that's a common feeling in the circles of people that I have historically associated with. Now, with that background, let's talk about what's happened and what's going on. As a semi-intelligent adult, I cannot ignore the fact, and it is a fact, that historically, in the last 100 years, our wars have been fought from the standpoint of political gain. We have only become involved in wars, and we have only stayed in wars where it was politically beneficial to the ruling class in this country. I'd be happy to discuss any particulars of that, but for the sake of this video, let's just go with that statement. And right now, we are in a situation with Afghanistan where we have been there for 20 years. And now we're pulling out, finally. And in pulling out, we are creating this huge chaotic storm where there's going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that are killed over there. Women and children in particular are going to suffer the most. And we are being blamed for the destabilization of that area. This is after 20 years of, on the surface, telling people and telling our troops and telling our own citizens that we are training the Afghani people for independence and to be able to charter their own future, be able to protect themselves with their own military, establish their own system of government, etc., etc. The things that we've said in all the other places that we've gone. The problem is that we either actually did not do any of that, or it was not wanted enough by the Afghani people, because only small sectors of their society are apparently fighting to achieve this independence and this self-sufficiency. Most of what we've seen is the total collapse of the systems that we've put in place there. But the truth of it is that that was not the mission of our government. The mission of our government was political and financial gain for a big industry, military complex that then paid the politicians. And it fed on itself for 20 years to the point that it was obvious that we needed to end it, that they couldn't milk that cow much longer. Now let's put that idea aside for a moment and look at another one. The military focuses on, laser-like focuses on, minorities and people and families that have financial hardship to get its members. It markets things like free school, free healthcare, etc., etc. Sell your soul to us, follow our orders, don't think independently. Some would argue with that last step, but the level of indoctrination that they have begs otherwise. And all to give them cannon fodder so they can fight these wars for political and financial gain, and not for what's right. And this has occurred time and time again. The promises that they make to you are mostly hollow. You're not going to be in situations where you can take advantage of them in a lot of cases. A lot of cases. Again, that's a separate conversation that we can have if you would like. Just leave me a comment. But it has become a fact of the military that you will not be used to do the right thing, to save people, to create a better world. It is a fact that you will be used to benefit the pocketbook of a politician or a company or a member of the ruling class. So, for the first time, I have decided to tell my children to do something else. So, this part of the video is for my daughter Saoirse, and for my daughter Elizabeth, and for my daughter Isabel. Ladies, as your father, I would advise you to never consider, from this point forward, going into the United States military. If you feel the need to contribute, to pay your way for being here and being a part of this country, find a way to help people. Help the homeless. Help the hundreds of thousands of children that don't have a home. Help the hungry. Help the abused. Find a way to become a useful member of this society where you have the opportunity to improve the life of somebody. But do not allow yourself to become a tool to cause havoc and destruction just so that somebody else can be wealthy. Do not fall for the traps. Do not become involved in this grotesque machine that the military here in the United States has become. Stand for what's right. Protect those around you. Protect those that need help. But do not consider becoming a member of the American Armed Forces. We as a family will no longer support that part of our government. If you are a military member, we're behind you. If you're a military member and you need comfort or aid, our family will be there for you. If you're a military member, we will honor you. We will support you. But the military industry itself, no, we won't support that.